Hey Credit Warriors, welcome to the show, and we got a reaction video for you today because today I'm going to be watching a Dave Ramsey video. I've got my $8 coffee already, and if you don't know, Dave Ramsey, well, he has a little bit of a different take on the whole credit cards thing to me. Just look at this title, Why Banks and Credit Card Lovers Are Terrified, capital letters, Dave Ramsey Rant, okay? So let's just check out the beginning of this video, have a look what old Dave has to say, and then I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it as well, all right? So let's check it out.
Credit card debt keeps falling, and here's a sad note. Banks are on edge.
Dave, I've got a Kleenex if you need one.
I have a tear. Banks are on edge.
Well, there's something I agree with him on. I mean, the whole sob story. Oh no, banks, they're losing customers. People are paying off their debt and they're not paying so much interest. I mean, that's got to be a good thing for individuals. And, you know, while I wouldn't say that I'm not anti-capitalist or anything, but, you know, the economy needs big companies to survive. But it's no secret that some of the lending practices are just a little bit predatory. So, yeah, I certainly agree with that. People are paying off their debt as well. It's really great. You know, let's keep going.
The banks are on edge. Americans are paying down. This is Wall Street Journal. Americans are paying down their credit card debt at levels not seen in years. That is good news for everyone but credit card issuers. Large card issuers that cater to borrowers ranging from the affluent to the subprime say the overall card balances and thus the firm's interest incomes are falling.
Yeah, it's really interesting, actually. Throughout the pandemic, credit card debt, you would think that it would increase, but actually it was steadily decreasing, and it's now at like the lowest level since, I think he says, the year 2000 or something. And my opinion, it's got to be to do with the stimulus. I think, you know, the government gave stimulus to a lot of people, including a lot of people who didn't actually need stimulus, if you know what I mean, okay? Some people use it for, you know, luxury vacations and stuff like that. You know, I don't get it anymore, actually. I managed to get it last year, but this year, I earn too much money now for stimulus. It's kind of like first world problems, isn't it? It's like, boo-hoo, I earned so much money that I couldn't get any more free money, which is kind of amusing. But anyway, I mean, but you earned so much money. Isn't that great in and of itself? Anyway, let's keep going. So let's see what Dave Ramsey has to say. But it is true that the income, the credit card debt has been falling. People have been, you know, responsible with their spending throughout the pandemic. I'm sure the stimulus has helped because many people probably just, you know, took that check and immediately just paid off their credit card debt. Okay, some people YOLO'd it in AMC stock as well, and GameStop stock and cryptos, but that's another story. All right, let's keep going.
To make up for it, issuers are spending more on marketing and they're loosening their underwriting standards, which means that you don't even have to be alive now and they will issue you a credit card. They don't have underwriting.
I think that might be fake news. I think you do actually have to be alive, but it's true what he says in the issuers are spending more on marketing, and part of that marketing is these huge sign-up bonuses that we're seeing. So American Express has given, you know, huge welcome bonuses, and just yesterday, the Chase Sapphire Preferred came out with a 100,000 point sign-up bonus, which is awesome. I'll put the link to that card below if you want to learn more about it. It is a great card. Mrs. Creditorship, who applied for it yesterday, instantly approved with a $19,000 credit line. Her credit score is almost 800 though, so you know, I don't think they're loosening any standards for her. But yeah, we do see now, ever since the beginning of 2021, credit card companies have been, you know, really going for the customer acquisition. And probably a lot of that is because they're getting less interest payments from people who are in debt because balances are going down. And also probably because a lot of points and miles sitting in accounts right now that people have built up through the pandemic and haven't spent yet. And these credit card companies basically owe these people a lot of free travel through that. So I think they're, you know, kind of feeling the pressure and needing to attract new customers so that you can get people in debt and earn interest off them. Well, hey.
Discover said its earnings call last month that the share of card balances that were paid off at the end of the first quarter was the highest level since the year 2000.
Yeah, there we go. Highest level since the year 2000. So I think the pandemic has really given people a wake up. Now let's move a little bit on in this video. And I want to, you know, get into some of the more juicy stuff that he talks about, because he talks about his view on how people should manage their finances and turn their backs on credit. Okay, let's check this out.
And we said,
I don't want to be the little pig in the straw house anymore. I'm going to get my crap together. I'm going to get out of debt and have an emergency fund. I'm going to be the little pig in the brick house, so when the wolf comes and blows, I don't have credit card debt. I don't have student loan debt. I don't have car payments. I'm under control, and I got a pile of money. You know what would happen? Discover would be up a creek.
Okay, he really likes to hate on the credit card companies. But I mean, it is true what he says. And to spend responsibly, I mean, whether you use credit cards or not, what he said about the emergency fund is great advice. You do want to have an emergency fund. Everyone should have an emergency fund. And this is one reason why people who don't have much money are often the ones getting screwed by the credit card companies. Okay, there was actually an article, pretty interesting article I was reading by Vox. And basically it's called this. It's called, here, have a look at this. The Ugly Truth Behind Your Fancy Rewards Credit Card. America's poor foot much of the bill for credit card points, miles, and cashback, okay? And basically the argument of it is that everything's slightly inflated in price because credit card merchant fees are pretty high, like 2 to 3%. So everything's like 2 to 3% more expensive, and people paying in cash don't benefit from that. But people with fancy rewards credit cards get like airline miles and cashback and stuff. One thing that's not in this article, which I think they should have mentioned, because they mainly focus on the merchant fees, but the one thing they should have mentioned is that people who don't have much money tend to be the ones who end up paying credit card interest because they don't have an emergency fund. And what happens if they have an emergency? Like, let's say an unforeseen $1,000 expense, well, that goes straight on a credit card, and then they can't pay it off, and they end up, you know, they could be in debt for like 6 months, a year, and they're paying like $50 a month in interest, something like that. So interesting article. I'd thoroughly recommend you read it. The Ugly Truth Behind Your Fancy Rewards Credit Card. Vox, you know, you might not agree with everything. They're pretty opinionated. So I don't agree with everything in the article, but it's definitely an interesting read. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Dave. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
The economy would collapse. No, it wouldn't. The economy would boom. Let me ask you this. If you get completely out of debt, thus you have your entire income to work with, and you have money saved for emergencies and saved to buy things, do people then spend less over the next decade following that, or more?
I know in my life, we've spent more.
All right, so this I don't really agree with him on, because I do think that credit cards make you spend more, okay? And there is evidence to back this up. Check this one out. Forbes. Do people really spend more with credit cards, okay? And let's scroll down to here. And a number of studies have indicated that people do spend more when paying with a credit card. In 2001, et cetera, from MIT published results of their research. They found that shoppers spent up to 100% more when using a credit card instead of cash. So it's not just like, oh, you know, buying some clothes, I'll just go and buy a pair of socks because I got a credit card. No, it's like 100% more. I'm going to buy $65 Palm Angel socks. Look, check that out. I just bought those with the credit, Saks Fifth Avenue credit on the Amex Platinum, all right? Awesome. I'm getting used to $65 socks, you know? It's just, you know, it's important to have the nice things in life, right? I'm using a credit card, so I'm spending 100% more. Anyway, but that was a pretty shocking example though, 100% more when you use a credit card. And I believe that it is true. Credit cards do make you spend more. And that's just one way that companies in America stimulate consumption, okay? We are a consumer economy. All right, let's go back to Dave, see what he's saying to finish off, because this is getting kind of long.
That was more
because you're affluent.
Yeah,
you have money. You spend. So this idea that debt drives the economy is not true. Now, consumption does drive the economy, but consumption increases when people aren't broke. So the idea that getting rid of debt in America and getting rid of this burden on the back of everyone is somehow going to cause the American capitalistic system to completely fail is asinine.
Asinine. Interesting word. Anyway, just to conclude, guys, I mean, I think what he's saying, it's true, yes and no, okay? I do think credit cards make people spend more. It drives consumption in America, definitely. The American consumer economy is just so much bigger than any other country, right? And I've lived in several different countries, and the way people spend in America is just far more irresponsible than in other countries. You can argue whether it's a good thing or not. His solution to it is don't use a credit card at all. My solution to it, a little bit different, is play the banks at their own game. Okay, we know the banks are predatory. They are, you know, and I don't have a bad relationship with any of these banks. I promote their products, but certain banks, well, all of the banks, to be honest, it's debt. You know, debt is predatory. So my version of it is play them at their own game. Get your fancy reward credit card, get your airline miles. Even if you do occasionally go into debt, pay a little bit of interest, the amount of value you get from airline miles, from hotel points, from cashback, it far outweighs any interest you pay, unless you're just ridiculously irresponsible. And in that case, you shouldn't have a credit card. You should be watching Dave Ramsey, not this channel. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave your comments about below. What do you think about Dave Ramsey's rant? That credit card, the Sapphire Preferred, I'll put a link to that below for you to learn more about it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.